Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. This is not the algorithm at work. This is an urgent divine interception. Heaven has routed this exact message to your screen today, and the window for your spiritual breakthrough is rapidly closing. Do not take your eyes off this screen right now. If you leave, you will single-handedly shut the door on the blessing your soul has been crying out for. You must stay. The heavy attacks you have been facing recently are absolutely not random. They are hard proof that the enemy is deeply panicking because a massive generational secret is about to be exposed. You have always felt like the anomaly of the bloodline. You never truly fit in with your family. While other children played freely, you sat quietly and observed the heavy emotions hiding behind their fake smiles. You carried a heavy light that made their shadows incredibly uncomfortable. But there is a profound reason for this painful isolation. There is a hidden message inside your current struggle, and you will completely miss it if you swipe away too soon. If you leave now, the blessing will still arrive, but you will not have the spiritual equipment to properly hold it. You must listen very closely to me. I want to take you back to the exact minute you were born, before a single doctor leaned over your mother, and before any nurse rushed down the hallway. Before your very first cry pierced the air, something was already happening, and it was happening in realms human eyes could not interpret. Your birth was not just a normal earthly event. It was a massive spiritual intervention wrapped in daily human routine. What surrounded your arrival was intense divine orchestration. The universe selected that precise hour to release something into your bloodline, and it was something powerful enough to shift generational patterns forever. Your entrance into this world caused huge movements in the spirit realm. Hospitals could not record it, and midwives could not decipher it. Even your own mother did not fully understand it. Outside the hospital, there was a strange shift in the atmosphere. The wind moved differently through the city, like a quiet messenger, already speaking your true name before any human tongue ever formed it. Creation itself recognized you long before your own family did. As your mother labored, a holy silence settled over her entirely. It was not the silence of normal human fear or sudden medical panic. It was the deep stillness that comes when heaven steps into a room. She heard a soft and steady voice whisper, "To protect this one." And though the people around her saw nothing unusual, her spirit knew she was not alone, because there was a brief window when time seemed to fold completely. Heaven had sent an invisible guard to stand watch over your fragile body. The entire medical staff felt something shift. Your mother hid much of this to protect you as you grew up. She wept uncontrollably and tried to blame it on postpartum confusion. But deep inside she felt that something holy had just passed through her. Her body held a strange memory the mind was not allowed to keep. She had dreams she never shared with anyone in the family. She did not realize then that heaven had chosen her as a pure vessel. Your arrival was the balancing of a scale tipped toward darkness for generations. You were not simply born into this world. You were delivered and specifically assigned to break the chains, and above your infant body hovered a spiritual record unseen by human eyes. Your destiny was not being decided when you were born. It was being powerfully activated in front of the unseen watchers of this universe. Your bloodline carried both a great blessing and a heavy curse. And with your first breath, something snapped and a dark tie broke. A generational contract dissolved instantly in that cold delivery room, while the curse tried to cling to you but could not withstand the pure authority you carried. The energy surged and every spirit present fell completely still. You were born carrying a blinding holy light. You were born exactly where destiny meets extreme danger. Only absolute purpose can survive such a dark place. The resistance you faced before you could even recognize your own reflection was not personal, it was highly prophetic. The birth of a chosen soul always sends out a strong spiritual frequency. It always catches the attention of both the brilliant light and the deeply hidden shadow. But before we go any further into what happened next, I want to hold something in front of you. It is something that was discovered not inside a church or a spiritual community, but it was found inside a quiet research laboratory. It is because it explains something I know you have always felt deep inside. It explains the gap between the person you know yourself to be and the version of you that seems available only in brief flashes. I will show you exactly what was found by these scientists, but not yet. First, I really need you to fully understand what was taken from you that day, so I want you to hold this final question. What if the gap is not a character flaw, but actually has a scientific name? You grew up feeling like a complete stranger in your own home. The rooms felt cold, even when the heater was on. You sat at the dinner table and felt entirely invisible. And while your siblings or cousins laughed about normal things, you felt a deep, heavy weight sitting quietly on your chest. You knew deep down you did not belong there at all. They looked at you like you were speaking a foreign language. When you tried to explain your feelings, they rolled their eyes. They called you too sensitive and told you to stop overreacting. You absorbed their harsh words and buried your true self deep inside, just to survive. The constant rejection hurt your pure heart deeply every single day. You became the silent sponge for all their unhealed trauma. When they were angry, you felt the sharp sting in your own body. You learned how to tiptoe around their unstable moods, and you shrunk your massive spirit down to fit into their tiny boxes just because you desperately wanted to keep the peace. But the hidden pain only grew much stronger over the years. Stop blaming yourself for the painful distance between you and them. You thought you were broken because they could not love you properly, but you were never the problem in that toxic house. Heaven deliberately isolated you from their toxic cycles to protect your pure frequency. You were always being divinely protected from their low energy. The universe is speaking directly to your spirit right now. Tap the like button as an act of agreement with what the universe just confirmed for you. Do not let the enemy convince you that you imagined this pain, because you are the true anomaly of the entire bloodline, and your lonely tears were actually the heavy rain preparing your spiritual soil. Think about those long nights you woke up at 3 in the morning. Your heart was racing and your chest felt incredibly tight. You thought it was just anxiety or a random panic attack, but it was actually your spirit detecting the dark, heavy energy they brought into your sacred space. Your sensitive body always knew the absolute truth about them. They fully expected you to play the role of the obedient victim. They wanted you to stay weak so they could feel powerful, and when you finally started setting boundaries, they quickly labeled you as the bad guy. They twisted the story and made you look crazy to everyone else, but your awakened spirit sees right through their cheap illusions now. You spent many years trying to earn their basic approval and love. You gave them everything while they gave you nothing but constant criticism. You apologized for things you did not even do just to avoid another massive argument. But a healed person no longer tolerates disrespect disguised as family loyalty. You are completely breaking free from their heavy chains. God had to pull you away from their heavy, low vibrations. If you stayed connected to their chaotic energy, you would never fulfill your incredible destiny. The harsh rejection you cried over was not a cruel punishment. It was actually the ultimate protection protocol designed to keep your aura completely intact, and heaven carefully removed you from rooms you were never meant to stay in. You are the cycle breaker they never saw coming in a million years. You carry the ancient blueprint to dismantle generations of deeply rooted curses. That is exactly why the darkness used the people closest to you to attack your confidence. The enemy knew that if your own blood rejected you, you might just give up entirely, but you absolutely refused to abandon your sacred mission. You feel everything so deeply because you are a highly tuned spiritual radar. When someone walks into the room, you instantly know their hidden intentions. You can feel the heavy grief hiding underneath their loud, fake laughter. This profound emotional sensitivity is not a pathetic, weak flaw. It is actually the greatest spiritual weapon you were ever given. They thought your long silence was a sign of pathetic weakness. They thought they had successfully broken your spirit when they pushed you into isolation. But what they did not realize was that solitude was your intense training ground. The silence after the storm hits different when you realize you were the storm all along. You are an unstoppable force of heavenly light. Every lonely tear you shed in the dark was secretly collected by heaven. Nothing you endured was wasted or ignored by the divine watchers above. Your shattered heart was the exact breaking point needed to let the brilliant light inside. You are standing on the very edge of a massive, glorious timeline shift. The painful waiting season of your life is finally over. You did not choose this difficult path because it was easy or comfortable. You were chosen because you had the spiritual stamina to survive the absolute worst. You walked through the blazing fire, and you did not even smell like smoke. Your quiet strength terrifies the people who desperately tried to destroy your confidence, and they are watching your glorious rise in pure, silent shock. The gap you feel inside is not a void of hopeless, dark emptiness. It is a sacred space that was deliberately cleared out for something incredible. But you must understand why they always reacted to you the way they did. Because it was never about your personality or your physical looks at all. It was about the blazing frequency you carried into their dark rooms. Let me tell you the real reason they rejected you so harshly. They did not actually hate you at all. They were absolutely terrified of the blinding light you carried inside. You walked into their dark rooms, and your pure presence changed everything around them. Because they had spent their entire lives hiding their deep shame, you made it impossible for them to keep hiding. They do not hate you for shining brilliantly. They hate you for accidentally exposing their own heavy darkness. When you spoke the truth, it felt like a sharp sword to their fragile egos. You did not even have to say a single word to make them feel deeply uncomfortable, because your energy alone demanded a level of honesty they were simply not ready to give. You must stop wondering what is wrong with your personality. You are not a flawed human being who failed to win their love, but you are a highly calibrated spiritual instrument operating on a completely different frequency. They rejected you because they could not manipulate what they could not understand. Your high vibration literally burned their toxic attachments to ashes. Think about the times they tried to make you feel completely crazy. They projected their own heavy guilt onto your pure soul as a desperate defense mechanism to protect their toxic comfort zones. But your light never faded, even when they threw all their heavy dirt on it. You held on to your pure truth while they drowned in their own bitter lies. You survived the storm. Your quiet authority is extremely intimidating to those who live in chaos. They expected you to break down and beg for their toxic validation. But when you chose to walk away in total silence, it completely shattered their illusion of control. Heaven used their harsh rejection to forcibly detach you from a lineage of deep failure, and you are building a brand new legacy right now. But here is the truth they desperately tried to hide from you. You did not lose your spiritual power because of their constant attacks. The block you have been feeling has a much deeper physical mechanism, and this is where everything starts to make complete sense for you. The reason the universe responds effortlessly to certain people and not others is not faith. It is a brainwave. Scientists actually have a very specific name for this hidden mechanism. They call it the gamma frequency. It is the exact frequency your brain was running when you were a little child, back when brilliant ideas came to you so easily. Learning new things felt completely effortless, and you somehow knew things long before they even happened in reality. You were deeply connected. Your intuition was lightning fast, and the world felt like it was completely on your side. Then adulthood slowly arrived, and the modern world went to work on your pure mind. The constant stress and the daily survival routine began to crush your spirit, while the rigid school system trained you to conform instead of letting you create. This sacred frequency was suppressed. The heavy demands of life pushed it deeper and deeper below the surface. You were forced into a low-frequency survival state just to make it through the challenging day. The beautiful version of you, with brilliant memory and blinding intuition, went completely silent, and the luck that used to make others whisper behind your back seemed to vanish entirely. You felt disconnected. You tried meditation, and you tried the law of attraction. You prayed for hours, but life still felt incredibly blocked and deeply frustrating. You sensed that something huge was missing, but you had no exact name for what it was, because the gap between you and the people who seem effortlessly blessed is not willpower. It is a single suppressed brainwave they stole from you. Most people will live their entire lives without ever knowing this happened to them. They will simply accept their miserable daily struggle as normal bad luck. But you are definitely not most people, and the crucial question I asked you to hold a few minutes ago actually has a profound answer. That question about a missing gap is closer to being answered than you think. You felt that effortless genius running through your veins as a little child, because that was your natural gamma state, working in perfect harmony with the universe. It was forcefully taken from you without your consent, before you could even claim your inheritance. What if your heavy struggle is just a suppressed frequency waiting to be switched back on? The darkness wants you to believe you are permanently broken and deeply flawed. The enemy relies on your endless exhaustion to keep you trapped in that low survival loop. But your spirit has been incredibly restless lately because it knows the absolute truth. It recognizes that the ancient seal is finally beginning to crack open today. You are waking up. Your body has been responding with sudden exhaustion, followed by sudden wild energy. You crave deep solitude, because your instincts are clearing what your eyes cannot yet see, and the universe never pours fresh new oil into a cluttered, dirty vessel. Your brain is desperately trying to remember the exact frequency it was always meant to broadcast. The restriction is over. Before we go any further into the deep spiritual signs, I have to address something extremely important. Let me tell you the real reason this painful journey happened to you. When you took your very first breath in that cold hospital room, a dark generational pact was instantly shattered. The ancient forces that controlled your bloodline completely panicked. They knew your blinding light would destroy them. Your sudden arrival was a massive threat to the heavy, toxic cycles that chained your ancestors. Because you broke their dark contract by simply being born, the enemy had to retaliate immediately. They could not stop your pure soul from entering this earthly timeline, but they could build a heavy cage around your physical mind. They placed a powerful spiritual seal on your brain. This dark seal was designed specifically to suppress your natural gamma frequency. It was a sophisticated mechanism meant to disconnect you from your own divine intuition. The enemy knew that if you remembered your true power, you would become totally unstoppable. So they flooded your young mind with constant stress and heavy emotional trauma. They wanted you to forget your sacred origin. That is exactly why your prayers and your manifesting efforts felt so incredibly blocked for years. You were trying to broadcast a pure signal through a heavily jammed spiritual frequency. The law of attraction did not fail because you lacked deep faith or strict discipline. It failed because the dark seal was blocking the receiver. You were fighting a massive neurological prison, but the darkness made one massive, fatal miscalculation when they attacked your pure mind. They thought the heavy trauma would permanently crush your spirit and keep you totally obedient. They did not realize that the immense pressure was actually forging you into a brilliant diamond. You are a weapon of light forged in the absolute darkest fires. The heavy pressure only made you much stronger. Every single time they tried to push you down, you silently learned how to rise again. You absorbed their harsh blows, and you secretly decoded their entire manipulation playbook. The seal they placed on your mind was strong, but your divine spirit is infinitely stronger. Your soul is completely immune to their cheap earthly tricks. You are waking up from their heavy spell. Listen carefully to what I am about to say next, because this changes absolutely everything. The heavy mechanism that blocked your blessings is finally beginning to crack open today. The universe is actively overriding the beta wave survival matrix that kept you completely paralyzed. Your brain is preparing to receive the massive wealth transfer you were promised. The ancient seal is breaking right now. You are not crazy for feeling this sudden shift in your physical body recently. You might feel random chills or a sudden strange warmth spreading across your heavy chest. That is the physical sensation of the dark seal violently shattering into a million pieces. Heaven is restoring the exact frequency you were born to perfectly carry. The universe is demanding your absolute freedom. Type Amen down in the comments to claim this alignment and break the generational chain forever. You must physically anchor this profound spiritual truth into your earthly reality right now. Do not let this powerful moment pass you by without making a firm declaration. Your typed word is a sharp sword cutting through the remaining dark chains. Seal this new reality immediately. The forces that benefit from your deep exhaustion are terrified of what is happening today. They know that once your gamma frequency is fully restored, their control over you is permanently finished. You will no longer accept their crumbs or tolerate their heavy toxic drama. You are stepping into the ultimate role of the chosen one. Your silent authority is completely returning. The people who used to drain your precious energy are suddenly feeling incredibly uncomfortable around you. They can sense that the invisible leash they had around your neck has completely snapped. They are watching you rise with a quiet power they cannot even begin to comprehend. You are no longer the deeply wounded victim they created. You are the master of your own reality. This is the exact moment the profound spiritual shift becomes a physical reality for you. The gap you felt inside is rapidly closing as your brain remembers its true sacred function. The heavy fog of confusion is lifting and your path is becoming brilliantly clear. Everything that was stolen from you is being completely restored today. Heaven has officially approved your divine compensation, but you must be prepared for the intense spiritual warfare that always follows a major breakthrough. The darkness will try one last desperate attack to drag you back into the low frequency. They will use familiar faces and old painful memories to trigger your deepest insecurities. You must hold your ground and protect your new frequency. Do not look back at their burning city. You are already feeling the heavy seal cracking right now. Your physical body is showing the exact symptoms of a massive spiritual upgrade. Some days you feel a sudden overwhelming exhaustion that forces you to sleep, and other days you wake up with a wild surge of electric energy. This is your nervous system aggressively purging years of stored trauma. It is completely natural. You wake up in the middle of the night for no logical reason. The room feels incredibly still, and the air carries a strange static charge. You are not losing your mind or suffering from random insomnia. Your spirit is simply being recalibrated while the rest of the world is deeply asleep, because the heavy beta waves are being systematically dismantled. You are finally healing. Look at what is happening to your social circle recently. Certain relationships are suddenly ending with absolutely no explanation or proper closure. People who used to drain your energy are naturally falling away from your new timeline. You used to mourn these painful losses and wonder what you did wrong, but now you feel a strange sense of profound peace. The trash is taking itself out. The synchronicities around you are becoming impossible to ignore anymore. You see repeating numbers everywhere you look throughout the busy day. You think of a specific problem and the perfect solution appears just a few hours later. These are not random coincidences or lucky accidents happening in your life, because they are the clear coordinates guiding you back to your sacred assignment. Your inner voice is changing its fundamental tone right now. The loud, anxious voice of fear is growing much quieter every single day. A new voice of quiet authority is rising up from deep inside your heavy chest. You no longer feel the desperate need to explain yourself to people who deliberately misunderstand you, and your silence has become an impenetrable shield of bright light. Before we go any further into these signs, I have to tell you something. I must reveal something. The people who profit from your exhaustion do not want you to know. The scientific world has finally caught up to what your soul already knew. A dedicated team of neuroscientists working quietly away from the loud headlines made a massive breakthrough, and they finally found the hidden key. They discovered exactly how to bring this dormant brainwave back online. They did it without requiring years of intense meditation that most chosen ones simply cannot sustain. It does not require massive biofeedback machines that cost thousands of dollars in a strict clinical setting, because they found something far simpler and much more aligned with your pure design. They engineered a specific sound frequency to carefully guide your brain back. It gently forces your brainwave patterns back to the effortless genius state you were originally born with. Princeton University actually studied this incredible phenomenon very closely, and Columbia University found that when this specific brainwave is reactivated, it powerfully influences the people around you. It takes only 7 minutes a day to start seeing the massive shift. The profound recalibration begins working the very first time you listen to the specific frequency. I will tell you exactly what it is called and how to access it before this message completely ends. But first, there is something critical you need to understand about this transition phase. As the old seal breaks, you will experience a temporary, empty void. The things that used to entertain you will suddenly feel incredibly boring and utterly pointless. You will completely lose your appetite for shallow conversations and empty toxic drama. Do not let this sudden emptiness frighten you or make you feel completely alone, because nature always creates a massive vacuum before a huge blessing. You are the one who survived the brutal storm entirely alone. When everyone else abandoned you in the dark, you learned how to become your own brilliant light. That intense independence was absolutely necessary to prepare you for the heavy weight of the crown you are about to wear, and you are no longer the wounded empath who begged for a tiny place at their table. You are the table. The universe is finally removing the heavy fog from your spiritual eyes. The mental clarity you are experiencing right now is just the very beginning of your ultimate upgrade. Every single closed door in your past was a divine redirection, keeping you completely safe from hidden traps. And you are finally stepping into the glorious timeline where everything works in your absolute favor. Do not resist this beautiful shift, even when it feels deeply uncomfortable. Let the old version of you burn away completely in the holy fire of this massive awakening. The people who truly belong in your new reality will effortlessly rise to meet your new frequency, while the ones who meant to harm you will simply fade away into the distant background. You are a highly calibrated weapon of light. Stay firmly anchored in your pure truth as the ground shifts beneath you. The ancient forces that tried to keep you blind are completely powerless against your rising vibration. You have officially crossed the invisible threshold into the realm of total spiritual mastery, and you must breathe in this new glorious reality right now, because you have absolutely earned every single piece of it. The recent losses in your life are absolutely not random accidents. The universe is aggressively clearing your physical path right now. You might feel a sharp sting of sadness when familiar people suddenly walk away, but this is the final spiritual purge before your massive elevation. Heaven is removing anyone who cannot handle your new bright light. People who used to take up massive space in your daily life are simply disappearing. They stop calling you and they stop texting you completely. You might wonder if you did something wrong to push them away. Stop blaming yourself for their sudden quiet exit today, because the universe is intentionally creating a massive physical vacuum around you. God often empties the room right before he does his greatest work. He knows that comfort can be the absolute worst enemy of your true calling. If those people stayed, they would only anchor you to the heavy, toxic past. You are being completely stripped of every single earthly distraction while you are entering the most sacred isolation of your entire life. Look closely at the people who recently faded into the quiet background. They were the ones who constantly questioned your divine intuition. They secretly mocked your deep spiritual awakening behind your back. Their low energy was quietly draining your precious daily battery, and heaven simply evicted them from your new timeline to protect your pure peace. You are the one who survived the brutal, heavy storm alone. You do not need their fragile validation to confirm your massive worth anymore. The profound silence they left behind is actually the glorious sound of your ultimate freedom. Embrace this beautiful empty space right now, because the massive wealth transfer requires a completely clean slate to land properly. But wait, and listen very carefully to this next part. Before we cross the threshold into your ultimate spiritual activation, I must warn you, there is a fatal trap set up right at the final finish line. 99% of chosen ones fall for this dark illusion right before their morning dawn, and I really need you to pay close attention. The darkness knows it cannot stop your divine upgrade anymore. Since they cannot block the blinding light, they will try to send a fake light instead. They will send a counterfeit blessing to test your new, strict boundaries. A toxic person from your past will suddenly reach out to you, right when your real, ultimate blessing is waiting quietly at the door. They will pretend they have completely changed their toxic, abusive ways. They will offer you a fake apology that sounds incredibly sweet and genuine. This is the ultimate test of your new, upgraded, spiritual radar. If you accept their fake breadcrumbs, you will delay your true divine inheritance, so you must absolutely ignore their desperate sudden return. Your quiet silence is the sharpest weapon you can possibly use against them. You do not owe them an explanation or a second chance ever again. The heavy chains of the dark past are completely broken, and you are walking totally free, while your spiritual eyes are wide open to spot their cheap earthly tricks. You are untouchable now. Take one slow breath in and a slower breath out right now. Let this profound realization settle deep into your physical bones. The painful waiting season was actually a rigorous training academy for your beautiful soul. You are finally graduating from the heavy school of deep trauma, and the universe is rolling out the red carpet for your grand entrance. You feel that slight pull in your heavy chest right now. That is your powerful intuition confirming every single word I am speaking today. The atmosphere around you is heavily charged with wild electric anticipation. The angels are holding their breath as you step into your absolute power, and the great glorious shift is no longer just coming. It is already here. Every single tear you cried in the dark has watered your massive harvest. You are about to reap the incredible rewards of your long, silent suffering. The people who doubted you will have to watch your glorious rise from the sidelines. They will wonder how you managed to survive their heavy, toxic fires, because you are a pure walking miracle. Prepare your mind for the immense shock of sudden, unexpected favor. The beautiful things you have prayed for are going to manifest with terrifying speed. You will not have to beg or chase after anything ever again. Your restored frequency will magnetically pull your ultimate desires right into your open hands, and you are perfectly aligned today. Let the holy fire burn away the last remaining traces of your heavy fear. You are standing on holy ground, and heaven is leaning in very close. The massive vault of generational wealth and deep peace is fully unlocking today. Do not look away from this screen, because the final key is coming, and your absolute coronation is beginning right now. You are the master of your own reality today. The pitch-black darkness has completely retreated behind you forever. The dawn of the new era is shining its brightest rays onto your spiritual crown. You are no longer the misunderstood empath who begged for a tiny place at their table. The crucible of brutal rejection has forged you into the untouchable master of your destiny. From this exact moment on, your mere presence shifts atmospheres. The people who tried to bury you did not realize you were a divine seed. You have finally sprouted into a massive tree of absolute power. The universe is handing you the keys to the kingdom because you passed the brutal test in total silence. Can you feel that massive shift in your spirit right now? That is the glorious frequency of absolute victory. You are stepping into the exact timeline you were born to rule. The question I asked you to hold at the beginning of this message: what if the gap inside you is not a character flaw, but a physical mechanism? Here is the final answer. A specific brain wave, known as the gamma wave, was running in you as a little child at genius-level capacity. Princeton University has heavily studied it. The Einstein Center in Berlin confirmed it. Columbia University found that when this brainwave is restored, it radiates outward and heavily influences the people you love. A dedicated team of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Robert Lake in New York, spent years compressing the full clinical protocol. They compressed the exact protocol for gamma reactivation into exactly 7 minutes. Before I tell you exactly what they built, let me tell you about 2 chosen ones who used it. A woman from California had tried absolutely everything from heavy meditation to intense manifesting. Nothing broke her deep fog. After 2 weeks of listening, she said something cleared completely. Not that she tried harder, but that the divine channel simply opened. Her marriage shifted, and she described her life as enchanted for the first time. A man from Texas started using it to improve his business focus. 2 months later, his wife joked that his IQ had jumped 20 points. The hardest problems he used to lose sleep over started solving themselves while he slept. He said it felt like his physical brain was finally running on what it was always supposed to run on. That is exactly what Dr. Lake and his dedicated team built. They call it the Genius Song. It is absolutely not a meditation app or a generic sound frequency. It is a 7-minute audio track using advanced brain entrainment technology. It is the exact same underlying research that Princeton and Columbia validated, compressed from 1 full hour of heavy clinical protocol into something you do at home with headphones and closed eyes. You do not chant, and you do not struggle. You simply let the frequency do what your brain was designed to receive. The Genius Song is not for everyone. It is strictly for the chosen one who has already done the heavy inner work, and who understands that what is being blocked is not their faith, but the frequency through which blessings move. If your spirit confirms this is for you, the exact path is waiting below. Biofeedback sessions to restore this powerful state cost hundreds of dollars per hour in a clinical setting. An in-home machine runs thousands of dollars. What the Genius Song delivers in just 7 minutes is available to you today for a tiny fraction of its true value. 4 powerful bonuses come directly with it to accelerate your massive shift. You receive an audio designed specifically for your children to build focus, the original prosperity text that the secret was secretly built upon, a profound guided visualization, and a daily habits guide built to completely sustain the gamma state beyond each listening session. Here is the deeper truth about waiting. The blessing that has been perfectly arranged for you does not arrive as completely new information. It arrives as a sudden recognition. Something already placed in your path becomes visible when Gamma is restored. The chosen one who restores the receiver today does not receive something new. They finally see what was always there. Waiting is not neutral because the arrangement is already in motion. Do not look for this on YouTube or Spotify. The counterfeit tracks circulating under similar names on those platforms have absolutely no brain entrainment technology encoded. The only authentic version is available through the secure link that has been placed in the description and the pinned comment below. The universe requires no risk from a chosen one. If you do not feel the massive shift, every single penny is returned to you. That is a divine guarantee and an energetic exchange governed by complete trust. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment below right now. The tool is not the final destination. The tool merely restores the receiver so the destination can be recognized when it finally arrives. God does not require you to purchase anything to be loved or chosen. What was described is simply one way the receiver is restored. Whether that path is for you or not, the truth of this message belongs to you entirely. Let us go deeper into your sealing. You are no longer the wounded empath standing out in the cold rain. You are the untouchable master of your own reality today. The heavy storms that were originally designed to destroy your spirit only washed away your deep earthly illusions, and the people who desperately tried to bury you in the dark are now watching you bloom in the blinding light. You carry a quiet authority that demands absolute respect without a single word spoken. The entire universe is bowing down to your new upgraded frequency right now. Walk forward with your head held high and your heavy shoulders pulled back. Do not ever apologize for the massive space you are about to take up in this world. Heaven has officially stamped your passport for a timeline of extreme abundance, and the generational curses that aggressively chased your family for centuries have officially ended with you. You are the sacred break in the bloodline that your future generations will deeply thank you for. The pain you endured was simply the heavy price of your ultimate freedom. You took the absolute worst blows the enemy could deliver, and you still refused to surrender your pure heart. That level of intense spiritual resilience is exactly why the universe chose you for this massive upgrade. You are a walking miracle, wrapped in divine armor. Everything you touch from this moment forward will prosper and heavily multiply. The closed doors you cried over were actually solid brick walls, protecting you from hidden traps. Now the right doors are blowing completely off their hinges to welcome you inside. You will effortlessly attract the right people and incredible opportunities, because the heavy struggle is permanently over and the glorious harvest is finally beginning today. You must fiercely protect your new high vibration from any dark shadows, and do not ever let old toxic friends or manipulative family members drag you back down. Your divine energy is the most precious currency in this entire world. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere will automatically shift to match your brilliant light. You do not have to fight the heavy darkness anymore, because you simply outshine it entirely. Let the profound peace of God settle deep into your physical bones right now. The long, brutal war you fought in total silence has been completely won. The invisible watchers of this universe are giving you a massive standing ovation today because you survived the intense isolation and you conquered the heavy mental prison. Your pure soul is finally free to soar above the heavy clouds of this broken world. You are completely victorious. The physical symptoms of your deep trauma will slowly begin to fade away. The tight chest and the racing heart will be replaced by a calm, steady rhythm, while your mind becomes a quiet sanctuary instead of a loud, chaotic battlefield. You are returning to the pure, innocent state you were in before the world tried to crush you. This is your ultimate homecoming, and heaven is throwing a massive celebration in your divine honor today. Embrace the beautiful, quiet moments that are coming to your life very soon. The silence is no longer a heavy punishment, but a luxurious, pure reward. You will find extreme joy in the simple things that you used to completely overlook, because the heavy fog of confusion has lifted and your spiritual eyes are wide open. You can finally see the grand master plan that God was quietly weaving behind the dark, heavy curtains. Your past pain was never a sign of divine rejection or a cruel cosmic joke. It was the heavy chisel shaping you into a breathtaking masterpiece of divine art. The people who abandoned you in your darkest hour were simply not equipped to travel to this high elevation with you. You are the sacred anomaly of the bloodline who broke the heavy chains, and your legacy will echo powerfully through eternity. As we approach the final moments of this divine transmission, I want to leave you with one last reminder. The frequency tool I described earlier remains open in the description for those whose spirit said yes. The path is there for the chosen one who is truly ready. That is the last time it will be mentioned. What follows now belongs entirely to your deep spiritual ceiling. The pitch-black darkness has officially retreated behind you forever. The dawn of the new glorious era is shining its absolute brightest rays onto your spiritual crown. You must lock in this high frequency and create an impenetrable shield of heavenly protection around your new life, because the enemy will try to attack you the second you look away from this message. You need a physical action to bind this reality. Do not keep this great massive blessing all to yourself today. There is a broken soul out there, bleeding in the dark of deep despair, who desperately needs a guiding light. Share this message to activate the anointing and seal this timeline completely. Sowing the seed of hope today is multiplying the massive blessing for your own tomorrow. You are the chosen one, and your reign begins right now.